911. What are you? That's me! That's me! That's me!
Whoa, 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 everybody. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's real vile time, babies. That's right. It's your main ripper behind the motherfucking trigger, Mr. Germ Chi Ripper. And of course, I am accompanied by my lovely and talented co-host, the Prime Minister, the Sinister, Mr. Ruthless Chris. Ruthless Chris, say what's up to the people over here in Real Vile Land.
What's good, people in Real Vile Land over there?
On that note, you can't forget the Tower of the Hour, the Princess of Power, the killer, Kelli Miller. What's up, Killer Kelli?
Hey.
Hey, indeed. Wow, it's been a wild and woolly time since we've last spoke. Before has it been 2 weeks or 1 week? I'm not sure anymore.
It's been two.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You didn't record last week because you're in California.
Oh yeah, I had a hell of a time in California. It was a good time.
Well, let's talk about that for 2 seconds. What's everybody been up to? Evidently, Kelli's been in California. California Killer Kelli. What's up new and exciting in California, baby?
We had an awesome fucking little beach house on Ocean Beach in San Diego for about 5 days. I was staying with some friends that are they're from here, but they live in Palm Springs now and have been established for a minute. So we drove back to their house, which is about a 2-hour drive to Palm Springs. Went from the beach to the desert. It was fucking beautiful, and I didn't want to leave, but I missed my little loud pug man down there. Yeah, we had a good time. I don't know, I had probably like 3 different Halloween costumes last week. Different nights had different things, had to dress different. I was a shark. I was I don't think I ever made it to the pirate costume, actually. And a skeleton person. It was a good time.
Sounds like an excellent time indeed. I'm glad you were able to do that. That sounds like a blast.
What were you guys for Halloween?
What have you been up to in the past 2 weeks, baby?
Oh, I've had an eventful 2 weeks. I was house sitting for her. She had a weird stalker situation I had to deal with.
Yeah.
I'm house sitting. Some random dude knocks on the door that I don't know. I've never met before. I know all her fucking friends.
Yeah, man. Chances are, if somebody like comes to my house, like they know that they at least know of Chris. They're, go on.
So yeah, he's all like, "Where the fuck is Kelli?" And I was just like, and then who the fuck are you? And I'm like, who the fuck are you? And then he like scurries off down the road. Then later on, he's just leaning out against the tree out front, staring at the house, playing around with his fucking phone. So that was creepy. And then I got to pass out candy to trick-or-treaters for the first time ever. That was great. Anywhere I've ever lived, I've never gotten trick-or-treaters. So I really enjoyed that. Even though we ended up getting a foot of snow that night, we had really bad weather. And then last night, my neighbor blew up his yard and almost burned my house down. So that was fun, too. I'm sitting in my living room. Giant flash of fiery light comes through my window. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I go running outside. And this dude is obviously high on crack or something. Well, at first, he wasn't even out there. It was a small child stomping out fire and at a dog. And then he comes running up. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on over there? And he's like, man, I thought I was throwing a Fabuloso bottle in the fire, which I think is laundry detergent, right?
I think so. I think it's
and it ended up being a gas can, and then I set my arms on fire. Like that dude, the fence was on fire, the tree that hangs over my fucking house is on fire. So I'm over there spraying with the hose, and like I'm like, do you want me to come around and help? And they're like, he's like, I prefer you being like Wilson on Tool Time, like you stay on your side of the fence, Wilson, and I'll stay on mine. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. But yeah, I've had an eventful couple weeks. I mean, that's just tip of the iceberg, but those are the most eventful things that I'm going to talk about. Yeah, it's been weird.
Yikes, stripes, fruit stripes, gum. That does sound like some wild and woolly times indeed. Me, myself, and I, yeah, similar to you, partook in some Halloween fun, handed out candy to trick or treaters, had a few friends over to watch a few spooky movies. We watched Halloween 3 Season of the Witch and House of a Thousand Corpses, a couple great, in my opinion, great Halloween themed horror movies. And then this past weekend, I went to my home promotion, POW Entertainment. They had their big yearly show, Wrestle Rage, and that was a lot of fun. And then Sunday, I went to go see Swedish garage punk band that was big in the thousands, The Hives. That was a great show. I had a lot of fun with that. And besides that, just taking it easy, having a good time and enjoying life. But tonight, we'll be talking mainly about the brand new Halloween horror movie, Dark Harvest. This movie just came out and it's a great film, and I can't wait to get on with talking about how amazing this film is. But before we do that, let's talk about what else we've been watching. Killer Kelli Miller, let's roll the bones and have you go first, baby doll.
Excuse me. Let's start with the worst one of the week that I watched. This one was just mediocre. 2019 Polaroid. I believe I watched it on Tubi or something. I don't know. I'm a photographer. Sometimes I like these, cheesy photo movies. This one was extra cheesy though. Kind of like in the same vein. It feels like it should have been made around the time of like The Ring or Final Destination or like Urban Legends, like the early 2000s, late 90s, but it wasn't. It was made in 2019, directed by Lars Klevberg, who also did that newer Child's Play in 2019, the weird looking Chucky. Yeah, I think so. I didn't see that one personally.
I saw it. It was different.
Yeah, it looked different. I really liked the ones with the wheelchair girl, but let's go on about Polaroid. The girl's name is Bird. She's given... Well, it starts out a little backstory. It shows like somebody's got this camera and they take a picture with their friend and then that person ends up dying. So that's like the setup. And then it kind of fast forwards to some time in the future. This girl named Bird is given this same 1970s Polaroid camera by one of her friends. And, instantly one of her friends takes a kind of like a selfie with it. She notices like a weird shadow in the background, and then her friend leaves, and a little bit later she finds out that her friend died and the shadow's gone from the picture. So it's an ongoing thing throughout this movie. I think there's a Goosebump book like this.
Cheese and Die.
Yeah, I remember reading that when I was little.
Got a lot of Goosebumps.
Yeah, me too. But it's average movie. Like, they take a picture, whoever it takes a picture of dies. They start noticing it. They try to burn one of the pictures and the girl's arm sets on fire and shit. It was really fake, cheesy fire. I don't know. I just found this very predictable. And like I said, it felt like it should be one of those movies that were made back then. It might have been better if it was made back then, but now it just feels like it's been regurgitated so many fucking times by like 20 years later at this point. It's just average. I gave it a 2.5. I guess it's worth a watch. It's like a teen, cheap teen jump scares. Very much reminded me of like Urban Legend. I don't know. Do you guys remember this one?
I remember it. I didn't bother to watch it though. I knew it was going to be dog shit.
I wouldn't say it's dog shit. It's literally just mediocre. It's like meh. That's all I'd say about it.
Yeah, when you were describing it, it sounded very familiar, so I looked it up. The trailer doesn't look like I've ever seen it, but it does look like a high quality, like high production value, and it looks like decent acting. I wouldn't mind checking it out. Like you said, it looks like it would be, kind of average, not like bad, but not good. It's a movie.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Yeah, and it's PG-13. I don't know. It sounds like it could be worth a watch. And you said it's on Tubi?
I believe I did watch it on Tubi. It's one of those like Ring, and now newer like Talk to Me. One of those, well, not Talk to Me as much, but in that sort of sense, like if you watch this thing, you're automatically cursed. You know, like the camera carries some sort of curse, and then there is a backstory. I'm not going to get into why, but of course, there's a reason behind that. You know, it becomes some sort of a mystery thriller sort of thing. Yeah, I think I watched it on Tubi.
Yeah, everything you said, it kind of is reminding me of The Ring or kind of Japanese
Yeah,
horror where, you got 7 days to live or
yeah,
whatever the
yeah.
case may be. But yeah, it looks like it's on Hulu, Prime Video, and Tubi.
Yep.
But yeah, check it out if you get a chance, if that sounds like something that would appeal to you. If not, skip it because Kelly already watched it for you. Let's keep the train chugging along, though. Ruthless Chris, toot toot. What you been watching, baby doll?
Because it's been 2 weeks, I'm gonna do that thing where I just power through two each time, but I'll make them quick. First one I'm gonna talk about is Silent Rage, 1982. This was directed by Michael Miller, starring Chuck Norris. This is one of the few Chuck Norris horror movies I think he ever made. It's pretty much a ripoff of Halloween with Chuck Norris doing karate in blue jeans. They rely heavily on ripping off mostly Halloween 2 because majority of it takes place in a hospital. But what you have is a guy who loses his mind, kills like a bunch of people in a building with an axe. They actually like rip off the Shining like little scene where he cuts through the door and sticks his head through, but he doesn't say, here's Johnny. And Chuck Norris comes and kills him. They shoot the shit out of him. And then there's some psychiatrist doctor who like genetically engineers him and brings him back to life. And then he's a silent, superpowered killer, just like Michael Myers, but not in a mask. Heavy on the boobs, light on the blood. A lot of blue jeans kung fu. This feels like if Walker Texas Ranger made a Halloween episode. Kind of like that. He has the bumbling country hillbilly sidekick that's got like the Don Johnson or not Don Johnson. Who's the Mayberry guy? You know what I'm talking about. Country bumpkin, guy. Yeah, I gave it, I think 2.5. It was okay. And then the other one I'm going to talk about, I just got done watching. This is Doom Asylum, 1987, by Richard Friedman, who made Phantom of the Mall, The Revenge of Eric. This was a weird one. It was barely a movie. I think it was an hour and 10 minutes. And 10 minutes of that was them showing footage from the original Sweeney Todd. Just cutting the footage of Sweeney Todd. You got a rundown asylum, a bunch of strange teenage types come to party at the asylum. Meanwhile, there's a weird noise goth industrial band practicing there, and they run afoul of each other, and they keep thinking that the one group's fucking with the other group, but what it actually is a zombie in a trench coat who makes really, really bad puns. The sense of humor is awful. None of the jokes land, but the special effects were kind of cool, and there's some cool scenes. So I gave that one 2, and that was being generous. I watched that on Tubi. Also, Silent Rage, I believe, is on Tubi, but I watched a DVD of it I had sitting around. So Silent Rage 2.5 was fun. Doom Asylum 2, being generous, worth one watch ever.
Kelly, have you seen either of these films?
Yes. Especially Silent Rage, the Chuck Norris one. Like he said, dude, the bad guy in that is completely modeled off of Michael Myers. Like, he was set away as a child, escapes the asylum, comes back to kill people in a mask, and like
Doesn't wear a mask.
He doesn't wear a mask. It's been a while. I think I talked about this on From Mouths to Madness with Pondo. I'm pretty sure I did. But yeah, this movie's hilarious. It's a fun watch. Don't take it seriously. Like, it's one of those bad good movies. Like, it's about as good as you can imagine a Chuck Norris horror movie to be. It is basically like Chuck Norris roundhouse kicking Michael Myers, pretty much, without a mask.
Kung Fu in a horror movie. It's a slasher movie with bad
Chuck
crap.
Norris. Yes. Yeah, no, I would recommend this one. Not because it's good, because it's entertaining. Watch this. And the other one, Chris was watching it in my living room. I wasn't paying much attention. I did catch some scenes. I wasn't paying any attention, to be honest with you. But yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I remember the title, Doom Asylum, and I remember seeing the VHS cover as a kid at the video store. And other than that, I don't remember anything about it except you reminded me that I gave it 1.5 stars, and that makes me know that I never want to watch Doom Asylum again. Thank you for reminding me that. If I give anything lower than 3 stars, I'm pretty generous with stars. If I give anything below 3 stars, generally do not want to watch it again.
I do remember at one point, one of the scenes I did catch, like the girl was being killed and she's like, oh no, my personality or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, she's about to take a circular saw to the face and she's like, not me, I have a personality.
My personality. Did she just say that?
Well, on the other hand, though, Silent Rage does titillate me. That I love a mashup where it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And Chuck Norris doing kung fu in a slasher film sounds pretty awesomely bad, or like at least fun bad, or you know what I'm trying to say. So
It's
yeah,
exactly
I might
what you expect.
I might have to check out Silent Rage. But in the meantime, I'm going to talk about a movie that I watched. If anybody was intending on talking about this one, I apologize ahead of time. But it is the brand new Hell House LLC Origins. This was a great movie, I thought. I was a big fan of it. I personally, I think like these Hell House movies, because I'm as I've talked about on previous episodes, I am not a fan of found footage films in general, but this whole franchise I've enjoyed, and which is odd. But each one of them seem to either not get, if they don't get better than the last one previously, they at least like stay constant. Like it's not a bad film, and this one I feel like is either as good as the first one or better. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I liked the characters. They were relatable, they were realistic, and and it added to the lore of the film. If you're not familiar with the Hell House LLC films, some of them, the original one was like a haunted house, but it was like real, right?
3 took place at the Abaddon Hotel. And then this kind of gave the backstory, more of like a fleshing out of the backstory and added more lore and stuff to it. But this is the first one that actually left the Abaddon.
Okay. Yeah. That's why it did seem like a lot different than the previous films, but that's because it took place at a different location. But yeah, a short synopsis is a group of cold case investigators stay at the Carmichael Manor. After 4 nights, the group never heard from again. What is discovered in the footage is even more disturbing than anything found at the Hell House tapes. I love clowns. I love creepy clowns. I love funny clowns and circus clowns. So the fact that they incorporated clowns in this and it wasn't totally schlocky, I appreciated that as well. And, you see the clowns in the previous films, but here it seemed like they were even more predominantly displayed. And they gave a little backstory of the clowns, which was nice. So I thoroughly enjoyed Hell House LLC Origins, the Carmichael Manor. It's streaming on Shudder, which I'm sure if it's on Shudder, it's also on AMC Plus. Yes, it is. So I gave it 4 stars, and it just came out this year. Just came out in 2023. I think it just came out like a couple days ago.
They came out the day before Halloween.
Okay.
I watched it the night before Halloween. I was like, I looked for something. I was like, oh shit, new Hell House, and Hell House has always been a solid franchise that I've enjoyed. So I was actually kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was waiting for this one. I'm a big fan of the Hell House movies. I watched this while I was in California with my friends, actually. Like, we all sat down and watched this one night. I really enjoyed it as well. It gave a good backstory to the entire trilogy. It fit the storyline, and I think it's a wonderful addition to the series.
Well, not only that, I was really wondering how they were going to tie in a whole different location
Yeah.
into what the Hell House mythos was. And I thought they did a really good job, and without like recycling scares, because there's only so much you can do in haunted house movies. They've already made 3 of them, and they did bring back the clowns. The clowns have been in all 3 of the other ones, but this one felt like they were more the main focus. Whereas before, like they would do the scare, like, oh, the clown's sitting down against the wall, and then they turn around, and then they turn back around, and now it's standing, kind of thing. But this one, they kind of did a lot more with them. Yeah, this is a solid franchise. I really enjoyed the Hell House movies.
Same.
What kind of star rating would you guys give Hell House LLC Origins Carmichael Manor?
I think I gave it a 3.5 or a 4. I'll have to look at what I gave it on Letterboxd, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I gave it a 4.
I have given every single one of these Hell House movies a 3.5. I think they're consistent across the board. There's never a dip in quality. I mean, it's one of those things where it's not a peak and valley kind of thing. It's just like solid movies all the way across. And in fact, there was a night where I think I watched like all 3 back to back when I was sick, like before this one came out. And, you know, like even with having them back to back leading into each other, like there's really no flaws and continuity errors. Like it's a really solid films.
It is. It's a very solid franchise, especially being like a found footage too. Like usually they're not that good, you know?
Yeah. And the characters had depth and weight to them. You know, they felt relatable without being like hammy or hokey. There was personality quirks and like problems with relationships and stuff that they didn't like ham fist, but it was all there to make these feel like real people. Yeah, this was a solid film. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Same here. So yeah, I give it 4 stars, 3.5 stars. You can't go wrong with the Hell House LLC films. Definitely check it out if you got Shudder or AMC Plus. But on that note, chug along, and Killer Kelly, what's the next film you want to talk about?
The next 2 movies I watched are Spanish movies. This one you can find on Netflix. This is 2023's Sister Death. This one's dubbed. The other one I watched is subtitled. But I didn't realize until halfway through the movie when Chris told me that this is a prequel to Veronica, and then it all made sense. These are directed by Paco Plaza. I believe they might be written by him too. But he also did the Rec movies, the Record Rec. He did all of those, and Veronica, of course. This one, it takes place after the Spanish Civil War, and it starts out by showing the main character, Sister, I forgot her name, Sister Narcissa or something like that. But it shows her as a child, and she apparently lived through some shit, like during the Spanish Civil War. So a lot of people like kind of look at her as she's been, you know, lived through a miracle. Well, fast forward to later in life, she's becoming a nun, and she comes to this convent in Spain, and she's there to take her final vows. She's also supposed to reach a bunch of young girls who are boarding there, and instantly she finds this box, and she starts, you know, realizing that there's some shit that went down there. I don't want to get too much into it because like one of these, it's a ghost story. It is a ghost story. It's just filmed so beautifully. It's like very much like it's out of the 70s. Like, and I'm not talking with like the way the film looks. I'm talking about like the camera angles, the way the story is set up. Like the story is actually a pretty basic ghost story. But, you know, with finding out what was going on with the nun there, and there's hauntings, the girls are seeing things. But the thing that made this movie great, it's not full of like jump scares. It's more the creepy settings. It's just like a general feel of creepiness. And it really reminded me of like an old, oh God, like 70s era. I want to say Hammer, but not really Hammer style. More in like the film where it kind of reminded me like I want to say Rosemary's Baby, but I might be even off with that. The storytelling, I would recommend this. Yeah, without getting too much into it, it is a haunting story. I would give this about 4 stars, and I would highly recommend it just by the way it's just beautiful, like the way the story is told, the way it unfolds, and those camera angles. It's a really bright movie too. Like, you know how like Midsummer was a really bright movie as opposed to something. I have problems watching some movies in the daytime because I have a lot of windows. So if it's too dark, I'm like, yep, that's not one I can watch in the fucking day. This is one. And it was really good. It was really good. I would recommend this. I liked Veronica a lot. This made me want to go back and watch that because I haven't seen it since it came out. And now how much I liked this one again. And I remember really liking Veronica. I feel like I need to watch that again to connect the stories now. So.
Yeah, I too enjoyed Veronica. I remember I saw it in the theater as part of the Cinepocalypse Film Festival. And when it came onto streaming, some people either loved it or some people hated it. And I just remembered that I loved it. So I'm going to have to check out this movie, Sister Death, it's called.
Sister Death, it's on Netflix. Yep. Probably one of the better horror movies on Netflix, I would definitely say. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was a great movie.
Very cool. Chris, have you seen Sister Death?
I have not. Usually when I go to do movie watching, Netflix is like the last thing I open because their horror section is just usually junk. There's not a lot going on there. I was aware of it coming out and the connection with Veronica. So I'm curious. I think I'm going to have to rewatch Veronica, though. I don't really remember a lot about it before I watched this. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'll get to it eventually whenever I actually open Netflix.
It is a very slow burn, though. I will say that. It's a slow burn movie. It's like, don't look for it as it's going to keep you. It's something you got to pay attention to. Don't be doing other shit when you watch this movie, But yeah, it's good. I'd recommend it.
Fair enough. Very cool. But Ruthless Chris, what's the next film you want to talk about?
The next two I'm going to do. First one, I know you kind of enjoyed it, Germ. I really did not enjoy it at all. It's a new Pet Sematary Bloodline. I thought it was a very bad version of Death Dream. The Judd didn't feel like Judd. They fucked up their own storylines, like things that you knew from original Pet Sematary. They changed around for this. I thought David Duchovny did all right, but it felt like a very recycled story. It felt like oddly paced. It felt like there wasn't a lot going on to it. It just didn't really feel like it needed to be made. I was bored with it. I didn't really enjoy it. I think Pet Sematary, and I do enjoy all the other Pet Sematary movies. Even I get flack, but I did enjoy the remake. I mean, it wasn't that like awesome, but it didn't suck. Like I had fun with it. And Pet Sematary 2 is like a big bowl of cheese on a hot, or on a cold winter night. It's cheesy as fuck, but goddamn,
I love Pet Sematary 2 so much.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, Eddie Furlong and his little motorcycle, and yeah. But this one did not blow my skirt up. I did.
Sorry.
Okay. I know that I am not in the minority on this. I know a lot of people have been really vocal about their non-enjoyment of this movie, but I didn't enjoy it. I gave it 2 stars. And then the other one I'm going to talk about is a brand new one on Shudder. It's called Night of the Hunted. I also didn't enjoy this very much. It's a Shudder original. The whole thing takes place at a gas station.
I watched this too.
You got a couple that are kind of traveling in the night. You get the idea that this is the girl is cheating on her husband with this guy, and I think they're going to like a fertility clinic or something.
I think.
And they stop at this gas station in the middle of the night, and when she goes in, she realizes the teller's been killed, and that there's a big billboard that says God is not here, and there's a sniper posted up in there, and he's picking people off that go to this gas station. And there's a radio, so they can kind of communicate. He left a radio back and forth, and you could tell that she was the blatant target for this. And it goes into like this really heavy-handed, like woke versus anti-vaxxer storyline that really fucking kind of ruined it for me. And pandemic shit. And this felt like it would have been a really fun short film. But like it being drawn out to an entire film, I was just like fucking twiddling my thumbs. Like, come on, all right. Another car pulls up, they're gonna get shot. Okay, what else is gonna happen? So I mean, there were parts of it I did like, but it would have been better off as a short film. So I gave that one 2 stars as well. So that was Pet Sematary, Bloodlines, 2 stars. Night of the Hunted, 2 stars. Both 2003.
All right, I can feel you on both of those. Night of the Hunted. From the description that I heard, it didn't really appeal to me too much. But I was curious about it. But after you talked about it, I am no longer curious about it. The new Pet Sematary, Bloodlines. I like the cinematography. I didn't mind the acting, and I think that they drew out was it like a small flashback in the book into a full length movie, and that kind of gets stretched pretty thin there. But at the same time, it wasn't as bad as I expected, and that's kind of the thing with me. If I have low expectations for something and it's okay, I'm like, I gave it 3 stars. I didn't mind it at all. But yeah, I'm not going to check out Night of the Hunted. Have you seen either of these movies, Kelly?
Yes, I've seen them both. Actually, I think I fell asleep during them both. I know I definitely did. I know I definitely did during Pet Sematary. Yeah, both of them. I fell asleep during. I threw them on and fucking it did not keep me awake. But yeah, Pet Sematary, pretty much what Chris said. I think I tried watching this one about 3 times even. It just was not grabbing my attention. You're right. I did love David Duchovny. I think that was the best thing that movie had going for it. But the whole Pet Sematary lore was just lost in this, like you said, and it didn't do it for me. And yes.
Well, not only that, because he told the story in the original Pet Sematary, you already knew what was going to fucking happen, too.
It was like they were following the. It was more they were following that soldier boy from the first that they buried in the Pet Sematary. It was God. No, yeah, I wasn't a fan of this one. I only watched the previous one, the one right before this, once, and I remember not liking it, but I think I'll give it another shot. But the OG Pet Cemeteries, I like all of them, Like, the first one, especially the second one with Eddie Furlong. That might be my favorite. I might get shit for that, but I think Pet Sematary 2 is my favorite of the franchise.
No, the OG. The OG was great. An actual creepy, scary movie.
Yeah, it was. But man,
dude, think about any of the scenes with Zelda, and that doesn't make you shiver just thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. But and the other one, the gas station one, yeah, I'm pretty sure I fell asleep during that too. It was what Chris said. Yep, whole thing takes place in a gas station. Someone's like shooting at them or some shit, and it is what it is.
Yeah, and never mind. I don't even want to talk about that one anymore. I was gonna chime in some more with it, but fuck that movie, man. Like,
you don't want to don't give it your energy, brother. All right, so we're done talking about Pet Sematary Bloodlines. We're done talking about Night of the Hunted, but I'm going to talk about another movie that came out this year, 2023, directed by Patrick Wilson, writers Leigh Whannell and Scott Teems. This is Insidious: The Red Door.
Oh shit. I don't have high expectations, but go on.
Well, for me, the original Insidious film, I thought was genuinely scary because that demon thing in the further, I thought it was really scary.
The Darth Maul thing?
Yeah.
And the idea of astral projection in a horror movie was something I've never really seen before that,
Right. Yeah, it's kind of an original idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have helped if I'd seen parts 2 through 4 before going into this one, because I was just I was just like, I love the first one. Let me check out the newest one. That's not a smart thing to do. Just disregard every sequel and go right into no. But I quickly discovered that they had like a psychiatrist or psychologist like suppress the memory of the ghosts and the further and the demons and all that jazz. Because in this one, the Lamberts must go deeper into the further than they ever before to put their demons to rest once and for all. It's not going to be once and for all. If they made any money on this film, they're going to make another one and another one. It seems like this franchise keeps going on and on. But in this one, the older son Dalton is going away to college, and he's going away for art, and it's a very liberal college. He is told by his art teacher to tap into his subconscious, and when he does that, he draws the red door, and now the demons have a way to get into his mind and into this world. And yeah, you know, I liked it for what it was, and once again, I really liked. I gave it high points just for the concept and for the cinematography and for the acting, because other than that, it was just like really. I gave it 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it for what it was. I tried to focus on the parts that I did like. So yeah, the acting, the cinematography, and I wish that I had watched the sequels previous to this, because maybe I'd know what was going on. Besides, I was like, "Where's the scary demon? I want to see more of him." But it's streaming on Netflix, and I gave it 3.5 stars. Have either of you seen the new Insidious: The Red Door?
No, also like you, I don't think I've seen the third one. Is there a fourth too? I don't. How many are there? Okay, yeah, I seen 1 and 2. I don't think I've seen any after that. But
I saw the first 4, and I can't remember if it was 3 or 4, but one of them lost me as a fan. I really enjoyed the first 2. I remember 3 and 4 not enjoying much at all, so I was being real lazy about getting around to this one. And plus, I heard that I had heard it wasn't very good, that it was directed very poorly because it was Patrick Wilson's first directorial debut. But I watch dog shit all the time, so that wouldn't really bother me. I was just being kind of lazy about getting around to this one.
same, yeah. I figured I'll eventually watch it, but it hasn't been high on my list. I hate it when they take a good concept like Insidious and the whole astral projection thing, and then just fucking franchise it into the ground. You know, they did that with the Saw movies. I feel like they do it with this series. You're starting to do it with The Conjuring. You know, the whole Conjuring universe, actually. But I hate it when they do that. You can't keep making sequels so quickly. Like when the Halloweens and the shit started coming out, they took like years in between, and these are just coming out like bam, bam, bam. You know, and it's a turn off for me.
No, am I mistaken? Is the Insidious part of the Conjuring universe or no?
No.
Okay.
Are you sure?
I am positive.
Okay.
Those are 2 different universes.
Is actor Patrick Wilson in both of them though?
Patrick Wilson, I believe so.
Yeah, I thought that he was like one of the like paranormal investigators in the Conjuring movies or in the Annabelle film.
Plays Ed Warren, who's a real person.
Yeah,
right.
I can't speak to what he did in Insidious. It's been a while. I mostly remember Ling Shay, and the Darth Maul demon and the kids mostly, because they were the focus, not really the parents. Because in the first 2, and I don't remember how 3 and 4 went, but like it wasn't the house that was haunted; it was the child that was haunted. So the demon was following this child. So like in the second one, they move. And they're like, "Hey, great, things are fine now." And it's just like, "No, your kid's haunted. It's gonna be with your kid."
Fair enough. Okay, well, if you want to check it out, it's on Netflix. I gave it 3.5 stars. But if you just want to rewatch the original one, which I still think is pretty scary, it's streaming on Max. So if I were you, I would just say go watch the original Insidious and watch something scary rather than a lot of situations and places that aren't. There are backdrops and locations in the new Insidious film that I'm just like, kind of take me out of it, like a frat house party. I'm like, I don't want to see a frat house party in a ghost story movie, astral projection and all that jazz. But anyways, check it out or don't check it out. It's up to you, but that's our 2 cents. And we got to keep this train chugging along, baby doll. So Killer Kelly Miller, one last round. What do you have to talk about this time?
I have one question about the last movie. Is Lynn Shay at least in the new one, or did she die somewhere in the...
I think she died in the third one. I don't fucking remember.
Well, fuck that. I don't even want to see it then. I love Lynn Shay. Anyway.
He is in this fifth one briefly because they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they go down like a YouTube clip hole, the college students. And they find Lynn talking about astral projections and all the stuff that's going on. And then also I'm going to blow the ending and I don't care. Well, it's not really blowing it, I guess, because we already know that she's not in it, but she appears to the father and says something nice to him. And then he turns around and she's gone. But we already knew she's not really alive. So yeah, she makes a couple quick cameos in the film. So she is there. She's just not there.
She's the most underrated scream queen, in my opinion.
Absolutely. A magnificent character actor.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's get
Anywho,
let's get on to possibly the best movie I watched all fucking year, let alone the week. Germ, you know what I'm talking about. When Evil Lurks, 2023. This is a Spanish movie. You can watch it on Shudder. Demian Rugna. I'm so bad with like foreign names pronouncing. I apologize if I get that wrong. But he also directed Terrified. This movie rocked so fucking hard. I am a huge fan of possession movies, and this might be the best, honestly. Like this is one I was watching as I was going to bed, and usually subtitled movies put me to sleep, man. No, not this one. This one had me like glued to the screen, like phone down, like I don't even care who's messaging me. You know, like this movie fucking rocked. It follows two brothers. They go to a remote village. I don't remember exactly why they're there, but they come across this demon-infected man. Rotten is what they call him in the movie. He's rotten. And he's basically, this is the IMDb, he's about to give birth to evil itself. So he's got like a demon in him that's trying to come back to, use a human as a vessel and be born again. And, well, they get the idea, like, well, let's just get this man out of here, which fucking the act of moving him just spread that evil like a fucking disease, dude. And it goes, the way it's spread is so easy. Like, you can touch a piece of the clothing, you can touch something else. This movie's fucking brutal, dude. So the evil, like, it possesses everything from like a dog to children to fucking, and when it possesses the dog, that scene was like, woo! A goat. Yeah, so this movie is basically about evil just spreading around this town. The guy goes to try to save his family before the evil gets there, unbeknownst to him, spreading the evil to his fucking family. I don't want to get
you're getting pretty spoilery here, dude.
That's the most I'm saying. But man, this movie is brutal. Like, there's a great scene with an axe to the face. They don't hold back on the gore. Or like this, I just love this movie. 5 stars for me all day, and I'm sure I'll talk about it again at the end of the year when we do our best of the year, because I don't see one beating this one.
Yeah, I would agree, Kelly. Unless something remarkable comes out within the next month and a half, whatever the case may be, this is my favorite movie of 2023.
Yep.
As of right now, I loved it. I thought that everything about it was remarkable. I can't say enough good things about When Evil Lurks, and if you have Shudder or AMC Plus, you need to watch this movie. It's brutal, it's gory, it's pretty humorless, which, from time to time you need a humorless horror movie to just shock your system, and this one does that. It's just magnificent. It's 5 stars all the way across the board for me.
Yeah,
Chris,
5.
Chris, what do you feel about When Evil Lurks? Have you seen it?
I have not been able to finish it yet. So when I was watching Kelly's house, her Fire Stick does this thing where the subtitles get out of sync. So it got to be where the subtitles were ahead of the movie, and it was kind of ruining it for me, but I've watched most of it. I was just kind of waiting to be able to watch it properly. I am a big fan of Terrified. I think it's a highly, highly underrated movie. The movie that this guy made beforehand, which is kind of in the same wheelhouse thematically. And it was great to see him come back so goddamn strong with this. But yeah, I look forward to finishing it. I was like 3/4 the way through, so I kind of knew what was going on. But yeah, it's pretty fucking awesome.
All right. So if you haven't seen When Evil Lurks yet, or even if you have seen When Evil Lurks, it's top-notch horror, and you watch it again and again and again.
I'm gonna buy it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Favorite movie of 2023 so far. But on that note, Ruthless Chris, one last round. Tell us what you're watching.
The first one I'm going to talk about is a very small indie film, but it was very good. It's called Capture, Kill, Release from 2016, directed by Nick Manualty and Brian Allen Stewart. This is a found footage movie. Only movie these people ever made. The people who starred in it, only movie they were ever in. It is superbly acted. It feels very, very real, but this is pretty much like the much easier to stomach version of August Underground. What you have is a couple that are preparing to be serial killers. They haven't started yet. You could tell that the woman is much more into this idea than her husband. The husband, you can tell, is kind of going along with it to make her happy, but doesn't really think it's probably going to escalate into that. And the wife kind of forces it to get to that. And then when it gets there, it gets pretty brutal. Like I said, it's not anywhere near as hardcore or hard to stomach as August Underground. This is a much more easy to swallow pill than that. But it is pretty brutal at times. It's very well acted. The special effects look real. And then, it's just kind of a descent into madness from there on out. I would recommend it. I gave this thing 4 stars. I watched it on Tubi. And I've watched it twice now. I the other day I was kind of like I'm gonna fall asleep. I don't think I'm gonna have time to watch a full movie, so I wanted to throw on something I kind of liked, but kind of knew where it was going. I put it on and I ended up like staying awake again till the end and picking up on things I didn't notice the first time. So yeah, that's Capture, Kill, Release 2016, 4 stars. The other one is a very hard to find movie called Mr. Frost, starring Jeff Goldblum. I ended up accidentally ordering a bootleg of this, not realizing it was a bootleg, but it's one of those movies I've always been curious about ever since my video store days, because the cover it just has Jeff Goldblum with this big giant mullet. It says Mr. Frost, and it said he hasn't spoken a word in 2 years and he shouldn't exist, but 26 bodies says he does. What you have is it starts off with 2 car thieves, and they break into Goldblum's garage to steal his prized automobile. I'm not a car guy, but it's a vintage, very nice car. And when they go to steal it, there's a dead body inside, and they rat him out to the cops. And when the cops come, they expect them to be like, no, they're crazy. But what he says is, oh yeah, I just hadn't buried that one yet. And they're like, what? And he's like, yeah, there's 26 more out back. And they're like, what the fuck? And he's like being like really cordial and polite about it. And then they put him in an asylum, and he doesn't say a word for 2 years until he opens up to this psychiatrist. And it's not just like he's killing people. Like half of them were children, and they were tortured and mutilated and stuff. They don't show any of that. In fact, the violence on screen is kind of minimum in this. It's more of a psychological thriller. It's very well told. It's a very interesting story. He also claims to be the devil. He's like, I am the devil. So there's like this grapple of good and evil, and is he crazy? Things start unwinding at the mental hospital. People start having visions and dreams and shit. I think the only way you can watch this is to actually buy it on Amazon. There is no physical media. This is one of those kind of like lost to time movies. It's highly stylized. It's this French director's only American film. So aside from Jeff Goldblum being very wonderful in this movie, also the dialogue gets a little weird because you could tell it's not the director's first language. So sometimes the cadences are weird, and maybe he didn't pick the best takes. but it's very artfully shot. Like there's a lot of uses of like deep blues and there's like interesting thematic lighting when certain elements are happening that kind of tip you off on like what's going on. Yeah, I highly recommend this one if you can find it. Mr. Frost. I believe that was 1990. Yeah, 1990. Directed by Philippe Setaban. Yeah, great film. I gave it 4 stars.
Wow, both of those films sound interesting, but that Mr. Frost definitely takes precedence for me. I wish that was more readily available. But yeah, I'll definitely have it. I'm hoping that one of these boutique labels will put it out now that you've talked about it. I don't remember ever hearing about it before. That sounds like a good one.
Ones where like I've only ever seen VHS copies of it, and now it was one of those things like when you went to the video store as a kid, like, man, I should have rented that, and you're always just kind of curious about it. And back when we had the old podcast, we did an episode on Watchers, and we ended up finding this website that had Watchers on DVD. So we ordered a copy, and while I was ordering a copy, I saw they had Mr. Frost. This is before I realized it was a bootleg website, because normally I wouldn't condone bootleg and stuff, but I think this is the only way you can get it unless you buy it off Amazon Prime. So in this case, I don't feel so bad about it. But yeah, I was really happy I did. And it was one of those ones where I just popped it in. I was going to fold laundry while I watched it and all that shit got pushed right to the side. And I was like plopped and right into it. Like it really held my attention.
Sweet. Well, the first one is called Capture, Kill,
Release.
Capture, Kill, Release, and Mr. Frost. You give them both 4 stars?
Both of them 4 stars.
Cool.
And I'm going to inject one more thing, and I know everyone's seen this movies, but I'm just say 2 seconds. I revisited Zodiac. I remember liking it when it first came out, but that movie is a fucking masterpiece. It is the most meticulously, wonderfully made movie I think I've ever seen, and it blew me the fuck away when I watched it the other day. So dust off your copies of Zodiac. It is a goddamn gorgeous, wonderful fucking ensemble film. Fucking Zodiac was awesome. 5 stars on that one.
Wow.
Fincher's masterpiece.
I might have to go back to that one, dude, because it has been some years since I've seen that. Yeah, I remember when you ordered Mr. Frost, though, we both bought copies of the Watchers from that bootleg site. We didn't realize they were bootlegs until they got here, but I'm going to have to watch that one now, too.
I'll let you borrow it when you drop me off. I'll run it out to the car.
Cool.
Sweet. Well, yeah, check out Mr. Frost if you get a chance. Otherwise, definitely check out Capture, Kill, Release, because that sounds like it would be right up my alley as well. In the meantime, I got one last movie to talk about before we get on to our main film for the episode. I'm going to be talking about a movie that I'm sure everybody's seen, and it's not classified as a horror movie, although I think it's very horror adjacent, and it was very fitting for the night before Halloween to watch. It's 1994's Alex Proyas film, and it's a legendary film. Takes place on Devil's Night before Halloween, and that is The Crow. Now, I think everybody is probably familiar with The Crow, but if you're not, it's based on a comic book. It's based on a graphic novel about a man brutally murdered comes back to life as an undead avenger of his and his fiance's murder. This is a spectacular film. It's actually way better than I remember. I remember, like, when it first came out, I was in high school, and I just came across, like, whenever I heard comic book, I dismissed it immediately. And revisiting it, I'm just like, oh wow, the soundtrack's amazing. Probably one of my favorite soundtracks ever now. It's got a great gothic feel. Characters that are fun, well, not fun, but characters that are realistic, and they still have a comic book angle to them, especially the baddies. The bad guys come across as very sort of straight from a comic book. But I really dug this one a lot revisiting it. It's only referred to as action, crime, and drama, but somebody coming back from the dead. And some of those revenge scenes are pretty bloody, pretty gory. I thoroughly enjoyed The Crow. I give it 4.5 stars. It's not streaming anywhere for free. You can rent or buy it on Prime Video for pretty cheap though, $3.79. You guys, I'm sure you've both seen The Crow. What do you think of it?
It's great. It's a classic. I have not seen it in at least a decade, though. Maybe that is one I'll have to go back. Although, maybe I'll go back next Halloween season. We'll see.
Ironically, I have not only have I seen it, and not only was it a big part of my life growing up, but I watched it recently because when I was in Chicago, the name of our show was Devil's Night. And when I do these shows, like if you watch the streams that I have, I always do these elaborate intro packages, and they're different for every show. And I wanted to incorporate the like snip it in as the wrestlers were doing their thing. The city's burning from The Crow. I used a bunch of that footage of the city burning, and I even took the sample of the big baddie saying, I started the first fires in this goddamn city, and now every charlatan and shithill's copying me. And I'm only meant to grab that sample, but I ended up rewatching the whole movie. But the thing about me is I grew up a comic book nerd, and I had the comic book before the movie came out. And the comic book's a very different animal. They keep a lot of the villains are the same, but like the story's much different. He still dons the makeup and has the crow and all that. But when the movie came out, Kelly and I have spent a lot of time in Detroit. It's supposed to take place in Detroit, but it is obviously a very fictionalized version of Detroit. They've gothed it down and everything's wet and black and bleak. And, that's not really what Detroit looks like. I mean, yeah, it's burned up and all that shit, but it doesn't really look like it does in that movie. But it is a fantastic film. I love the films this guy makes. He made another movie called Dark City that the director's cut's one of my favorite movies of all time. I cannot speak high enough. In fact, I was the Crow one year for Halloween when I was like 11 years old. I had the little duct tape wrapped around my wrists and the fucking face paint on and all that shit. And you know what? It also makes me miss a time in movie soundtracks where they would get an entire soundtrack of original music made just for the movie. It doesn't feel like something that happens. And there is like banger after banger on the soundtrack, I think, from everything from Nine Inch Nails, the Thrill Kill Cult. It's really a solid product of this time. So yeah, I think very highly of The Crow. I think it's a 5-star movie, and
Yes.
the only thing that really bums me out about is the tragedy of Brandon Lee on that, and where his career could have went after that movie had he not died tragically filming it.
Yeah, anybody that knows anything about guns, it's like a live round doesn't just appear in a gun either. So, I'm not one for conspiracy. I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but come on.
It wasn't a live round. What happened is there's in old blanks, there's paper wadding that they used to make the flash. And the scene it happened in is when he goes into Fun Boy's apartment. And it actually ruined that actor's life. Like, he stopped acting for 20 years and he had to go to therapy, and it really fucked his whole life up because he blamed himself for it. But what happened was when he shot the blank off, the wad went and it just pierced his liver. And he didn't say anything. Like, he kept filming. He thought he was fine, and he died in the shower from, I believe, sepsis. I think what was in his liver when it got into his bloodstream and killed him. But it wasn't a live round. It was paper wad that was in the blank that pierced his skin.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense then. Because I was like, oh my goodness, this couldn't just happen on accident. But yeah, that could definitely happen on accident. And especially if you're a tough guy, you think you're fine and you're not fine. I've been that tough guy.
And of course there's conspiracies with all the conspiracies surrounding his dad as well. Like his dad's death.
Yeah, his dad died almost at the same age of very mysterious circumstances too. Mm-hmm. So his dad being Bruce Lee.
Right. Besides the terrible death of Brandon Lee, this is an amazing film. And if you haven't seen it, you're probably missing out on a true masterpiece. Yeah, no, you actually are missing out on a true masterpiece, and you should buy a physical copy, and you should buy the soundtrack and know what we're talking about with The Crow, 1994. Do it. But in the meantime, we're going to get on to our main feature for tonight's episode. It's director David Slade's brand new 2023 Halloween horror movie, which is, it is a Buster Bunny. It is a wild ride, and it's hard to describe, but it is Dark Harvest.
And now for our feature presentation.
Harvest. Now, in this film, it takes place in a small Midwestern town. A deadly annual ritual unfolds as the mythical nightmare Sawtooth Jack rises from the cornfields and challenges the town's teenage boys in a bloody battle of survival. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Like, when I saw the trailer, I immediately wanted to give it 5 stars. And I remember going on Letterboxd, and some people gave it 1 star, some people were in the middle, and I totally get it, because it's hard to. It's supposed to take place in the 50s, it seems like, but then there's verbiage used. There are different items in the set pieces used where it's hard to really place what time it actually is supposed to take place.
It's 1962. They do say it at one point.
Right, but it just doesn't come across that way. Do you feel like the filmmaker did that on purpose, guys?
What I feel like he was trying to do was, much like The Crow, is ground this in something familiar, but it's its own kind of reality, because the city itself didn't feel like it was like, yes, this is the Midwest, but they didn't say where it was. It just kind of felt like, all right, this is happening in this time frame. And the fact that it's a period piece, I think, actually made it a stronger film as well. Mm-hmm. I like that a lot of the teenagers were greasers, and had the leather jackets and the white shirts and blue jeans, and all that. But yeah, I think they were trying to kind of go for that alternative reality, but it's still being familiar kind of thing. And one of the things I really love about this movie, that you don't get in a lot of new movies, is they really came up with almost a classic mythos, like the Sawtooth Jack thing. And Sawtooth Jack delivers. It looks fucking great. And it's not one of those things where you see him for 2 seconds. Not Sawtooth's on the fucking screen, and he is fucking shit up in this movie. But I really love, not only did they build this mythos and this world around it, but it's kind of like it controls this city, like it like has hold over these people's lives to where they're almost dreading Halloween every year. There's no trick or treating, but they still wear costumes, and it almost when Halloween does hit, it almost feels more like The Purge, because they're not celebrating fucking Halloween. They are out to kill this fucking thing. And they had these kids starved and depraved asleep and all this shit. And they get no water, food for 3 days before this happens. And they turn them into fucking maniacs. And it's on leaf. I can keep going.
Please do. Please.
One of the things I really also enjoy is, instead of like spoon feeding you the story over there, they lay it all out in the opening monologue. They're like, this is what's going on. And then they throw you right into it. There's a little bit of fat that could have been trimmed off of this movie, like leading up to the second Halloween, because it starts on Halloween with the first time Sawtooth Jack comes, and what happens when you kill Sawtooth Jack. The winner gets a Corvette. Was it a Corvette or it was a Corvette? And then
it's a fancy car,
a giant check, and the parents get moved into this fancy house, and the kid gets to hit the road, and they're pretty much like a fucking celebrity after that. It really has like a fully fledged out story. And from what I've told from talking to people that have read the books, like all that's missing in the book. And I guess in the book, it's told from Sawtooth Jack's point of view. Ooh. For the most point. And I guess it's a pretty short book, but it's very beloved. But I guess it's like very, very stripped down, and they really, really filled this out. And one of the other things is it is fucking beautifully shot. Mm-hmm. Like I have been, and this is how I got on Zodiac. I've kind of been like revisiting all the films of David Fincher because recently I watched Seven for the first time in probably like 15 years, and I was like, wow, that is almost a perfect movie. And then it kind of got me like checking out his other movies, and it's very similar to his filming style, where it's like these like neon grays and like very like clean and cleanly looking things, but very almost filmatic and cinematic looking. It's I love this fucking movie. I could talk about it all night. This is probably going to definitely be on my year-end list.
Yeah.
But like Germ was saying, there are a lot of people that are shitting on this thing. They're shitting all over it. And I can't fathom why.
I could tell you from my point of view why it seemed like a lot of the aspects of the story arc have been done a million times before. I've seen spirits rise from the grave. We've seen revengeful spirits. It felt like Pumpkinhead. It felt like Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. It felt like a lot of movies that we've seen before. And then you throw in these crimson ghost masks that the Greaser gang wears, and I'm just like, well, we know as Misfits fans, we know as movie fans that the Crimson Ghost sure started as a serial movie back in about that time, but they didn't make masks about it. There's no way that there was Crimson Ghost masks. And then some of the dialogue is actually Misfits lyrics. I'm just like, come on, stop it. So yeah, I understand some people panning this film, but for me personally, I couldn't, because like you were going on about earlier, it is beautiful and it's a gorgeous film, some great action scenes, and even though there are story arc angles and there are mythos that I've seen used before, the way that they interject all these different elements, I think makes a great fun Halloween movie watch. I liked the chemistry between the main male and female protagonist, because Kelli Haynes is the orphan black girl who works the movie theater, and then Richie Shepherd is the bad boy greaser, and they do what they have to, at first because they want to get the money, and then later on it's just survival once you witness the brutality of Sawtooth Jack. So yeah, I understand why some people shit on this movie, but if you can take into account how beautiful it is and how amazing the film work is and the cast and the acting, you would have to be mentally deficient to just pan it because you think it's weak writing, or you think that it's just Misfits jerking off like fanboy movie, but it's so much more than all of that. I'm hoping that this movie comes out in physical media, because I would definitely buy it, and I intended on buying it, but I couldn't find it to purchase some physical media anywhere. But yeah, like you said, it's like Purge meets Pumpkinhead meets Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, but with a really cool punk rock soundtrack. And yeah. What were you gonna say, Kelly? I'm sorry. Now I'm going on and on.
The Misfits part's actually a very small scene. It's not like they wear those masks throughout the whole movie. There's an array of different like homemade masks. It's just those four boys just had those matching ones for. Well, it was really just one scene. So I don't see how people's like, oh, it's just, yeah, you could definitely tell there was some fanboy shit going on with some Misfits, but it's not like it's the whole movie, I don't know. I like this movie a lot. I'm with Chris. I think this will become a like cult Halloween classic. Giving us a new Halloween legend. We haven't had a great new like solid Halloween movie in a long fucking time, and I think this one is it.
And I mean, when was the last time we had a Halloween where like we got like a really solid Halloween themed movie?
Sam, Trick or Treat is the last.
Yeah, I mean that was like what, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Probably like 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's been a while since, going into Halloween. it's my favorite time of the year. I know it's Kelly's, and I'm sure it's very great that you love it as well, Germ. And you're already in the mood for that. Something like this. You're going back, you're watching your Halloweens and your trick or treats and that stuff. But it's been a long time since it felt like here's a big old meal of Halloween for you, and here's going to be plenty of blood, and there's going to be this new fucking character, and that we can make more movies. I mean, I honestly hope they don't make more movies out of this. I hope that they just stand alone. I don't think this needs sequels, but it's easily franchisable if they wanted to. I hope they don't, but it's the appearance of Sawtooth Jack was so, I think, iconic and really awesome looking. I fucking loved this movie. The only thing that really kind of just so it doesn't sound like I'm fanboying, because I do analyze movies quite a bit when I watch it. It felt like the grown-ups and the kids were in two different movies. Like the kids were playing it very straight-faced and very real, and it felt like the grown-ups were kind of hamming it up just a little bit and like trying to make it more of like a cheesier affair, like saying, especially the sheriff and the mother. Like the scene where the mother, but the kids, I mean, it is chock full of dynamite child actors, and fucking how hard is that to do in a movie? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I gave it 4 stars, and I would definitely watch it again. I just wish it was available either streaming for free on a station or available for purchase on a physical copy. I'm not a fan of renting or buying a digital copy, but it is available on Prime Video for $5.99. So, and it's worth the $5.99. But I give it 4 stars. What do you guys think about? What kind of star rating do you give Dark Harvest?
I give it a 4 as well. 4, possibly even 4.5. Like I said, I think it has the potential to become a new cult Halloween classic, and it's probably one I will revisit every year now.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a yearly watch for me. I agree with Germ. Not only do we need a proper Blu-ray release, but give us a good deluxe one. Give us some special features. All that shit, I'm here for it. I will buy it. In fact, after I was done watching it, I looked for it immediately to buy, and the only way you can get it is there's like a British region free one, and I was like, no, I want a proper release, because it also kind of felt like it might have been a bootleg, and I wasn't sure. But yeah, I give this thing 4.5. It's a new favorite of mine. It'll probably be popping up on my year-end list for sure. Movies like this are way up my alley. Not only with the fun mythos, the gore, but it was shot fucking immaculately. The guy who made this, he made Hard Candy and he made 30 Days a Night. Both movies I think that are very, very good. He also made one of the Twilight movies, which I think is hilarious. But yeah, give Dark Harvest your love, man, because we need more movies like this coming out every Halloween. If this made a big enough impact, they would start dumping more money into giving us good Halloween movies every year, and I would love that.
And as much as you might hate renting it, rent it, because that just like gives that money to the people that made this, and it's just kind of like showing Amazon like, hey, people are interested in this if they're renting it. That's why I never mind renting movies off of Amazon, especially a lot of these smaller production films like this. And there was something different about this movie. Like, you didn't know if they were stuck in some sort of weird world or, it wasn't just the monster myth. You're like, there's something going on with this town too. So that it had questioning shit throughout the whole movie.
If you remember, like halfway through the movie, I was like, I got this figured out.
Yeah.
And I was right on one thing, and that was the twist on what Sawtooth Jack was going to be.
Yeah.
But the other twist I thought that was coming, which didn't, was I thought it was a Dark City situation where they were going to be leaving town, and then they would just hit the edge of the earth, or there'd be something that they could not get on, and they were just like stuck in this one area. That's the thing I got wrong. But I did think that it was like kind of this alternate reality that they were just stuck in.
Yeah. So
the big twist I saw A Mile Coming Away, and I think any horror movie fan will see A Mile Coming Away. But it does have that kind of iconic horror feel to it. And it also made me want to read the book. which I think is a
Yeah.
brilliant move on any movie's part, that if it makes you want to read. And the last thing I'm going to say about it before we wrap up the show is that I definitely feel like there's some strong subtext there, but I have to rewatch the movie to really get into it. But I need to have that physical copy or another streaming copy for me to watch again. So please, whatever, if anybody hears this that has the capabilities of putting out a physical copy of Dark Harvest, please do so, because I want to rewatch it and figure it out, because I think there is a lot more going on there than I got in one viewing.
Also, watching the credits. There's a whole another ending midway through the credits.
Yes, watch after the credits.
That makes it an even better fucking film. Because I thought when the credits rolled, I was like, oh, that ending was kind of And then, like, halfway through the credits, they gave us, like, a fucking killer ending. I was like, all right, let's do that.
Absolutely. So yeah, we all love Dark Harvest for different reasons or for very similar reasons. Watch it, live it, enjoy it. In the meantime, next week we're gonna be doing a shit fest for all you lovers of dog shit movies. This year this time around though, we're gonna be tackling year 1999. Late 90s wasn't very kind to horror movies, in my opinion. So this will be exciting to watch and listen to. So that's
99.
next week. 1999.
99.
Shitfest 99.
Shitfest night this Sunday. It'll be a Monday though.
Monday. Shitfest 99.
Shitfest.
Be there.
You guys got any final words for the people out there in real file land?
Shitfest.
Keep an eye out for me in the upcoming Cool Keith documentary. I make an appearance in the Cool Keith documentary that's gonna be coming out soon. So keep an eye out for that.
I should have went, but I was exhausted.
Well, very exciting news. And on that note, I will say that today that we recorded this, November 7th of 2023, makes 5 years of me being clean and sober. I'm very proud of myself. But
Congratulations.
I'm going to say keep it spooky, keep it creepy, and keep it real vile forever. God bless America and send nudes. Ow!